gosh, look at your tits just like jiggling. I need to censor that shit. I need to censor it. Welcome to the 9th episode of the Polecast show. I'm your host, Chloe, and we have here a very special guest. Very, very exciting. Fion from Lunalae.
Hi.
So, she's a founder of Lunalae, ex-pole dancing instructor of 6 years, and she's also an ex-full-time fashion designer and even also a ex-competitor of Miss Pole Dance Australia. So please welcome Fion to the show. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I've been wanting to get to know you just as a person. Also, I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions about how she runs her day-to-day very, very crazy business. And also just to get to know more about the brand, and also maybe if you're interested and wanting to get to know more about the business side of things, then she is the perfect person to ask. So, Fion, so how did Lunalae come about? I'm really, really curious.
Yeah. So back in the day when I was in my pole days, when I was super obsessed, I just found there wasn't really any pole wear that was comfortable or looked good. There were only kind of Bad Kitty. I don't know if you remember them. Do you remember?
I actually don't.
Or maybe you weren't around then.
No,
yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know if they even exist anymore, but that was the only brand, and then you could get sports bras from Conan on Body or Lorna Jane. And so I used to be a full-time designer, and I was man, I just want to make my own stuff, because there wasn't really something that I wanted. So I just thought, I've always wanted to have my own business. I had a business prior to that with an old business partner, but we decided to not go ahead with that. And I just felt there was a gap in the market at the time. So I was okay, I'm going to take this idea and run with it. So it just really hit off.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, I'm very naked today compared to the rest of the podcast show. So this is one of Lunalae's piece.
Woo!
And Fion's obviously wearing one as well. So nice. All the pieces I find super flattering on your body, and it's just I feel someone with a body like mine, when I don't have an ass, it makes me look like I have an ass, and it makes me look like I have boobs as well.
Do you have boobs and ass?
So very, very comfortable too. So I just want to, I guess, get to know more about not just the business, but in terms of designing and stuff, because I think you obviously have a very heavy focus on sustainability. Mm-hmm. So how did you come about, or where did your interest from sustainability come from?
I don't know if it's an interest, but I feel the whole world is moving towards that route, and I feel it's more of a necessity than anything, be it how we live, how we drive, how we get to school, everything is so bad for the environment, especially fast fashion, it's actually one of the most toxic things. It's toxic for the soil, the dyes. I just feel it's something that has to change. I just felt it was a necessary move. And I just feel I want to put more meaning into the business rather than making money, because money is not going to make you happy, So just moving towards that is more fulfilling and also necessary.
Right. Because I know for a fact that, at least for me, I'm not a huge, I don't know much about sustainability, and I feel it's still sort of a new thing. So when it comes to sustainability, and we spoke about this very briefly, but you said that it's really, really hard to, create your brand very sustainable. So how hard is it? And what are the things that differentiate a sustainable design and a non-sustainable design?
I mean, there's so many factors of making a garment that make it not good for the environment, right? So like the dyeing of the fabric, like how you dye it. So like there's natural dyes, the yarn itself. So if you use a natural yarn like cotton, silk, linen, anything that comes from nature, it biodegrades into the earth. Or you could use like what we use, it's recycled. So a lot of the plastic pollution that goes into the sea, they recycle it. So that's why like companies sell it to China, because they buy it and they literally make fibers out of the thread, like the fibers into thread, sorry, and then they weave it into the fabric and then they make the garment. So that's one factor, the fabric and the dyeing. And then there's also like all these like microplastics, right? So in your swing tag, you might, like normally in your clothing, you have this little plastic thing where you pull it out and you take the tag off. So when we do that, we just thought like that's totally unnecessary. So we just use like a cotton string and just tie it on, or like we just use like a 100% cardboard. So just like it's just biodegradable. And then even our sew-on labels are just like 100% cotton. So it's small, but you know those things aren't necessarily necessary. So yeah, I think just making small changes in those things are really important. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like, you know, with sustainability, it's still, I mean, as I mentioned, I feel like I don't know much about it, but we have like a long way to go because, you know, fast fashion is obviously way cheaper. And, you know, having, you know, following like sustainable brands and stuff, I know for a fact that they're much more expensive and people do want to think about, you know, how much is coming out of the wallet rather than maybe thinking about like sustainability.
Yeah. So yeah, that was actually another thing. So obviously, like you said, it is cheaper just to buy like non-sustainable stuff because they have to buy the thread, they have to weave it, and also the turnaround time is a lot longer. So if we like sell out of something and we want to order it, because they have to make that fabric from scratch, the turnaround time is so much longer. So it actually makes it really hard for businesses to be sustainable. So yeah, it's not like as easy as people think. And also people don't want to pay that money. Like they say they want sustainable, but when it comes down to it, hey, I don't want to pay that price, you know? So I think it's important that it comes from the customer, that the customers tell like us what they want and like to show us that, hey, this is important to us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if they're not buying it, then what does that mean? Yeah.
So like in terms of, I guess, like cost versus the quality or like sustainability, like how do you kind of like combat that? Or like how do you kind of create that like, I guess, like gap?
Yeah. I mean, all you can do is charge more to cover the cost because like what else can you do? You know, if it costs more, you got to charge more. But if the customer respects that and understands that, it just shows what they value. Yeah.
Because I feel like from what I know, I feel like Lunalae is obviously very well known for the design. But then also when it comes to like sustainability, like I'm not too sure if people are, I guess, like educated enough on like how important it is.
Yeah.
So I guess this is like a really good kind of like way to show how important like sustainability is, and also to continuously like work on being more sustainable.
Yeah, I think the whole world, we don't know the answer on how to be 100% sustainable, but all we can do is like do our best, you know? So do as much as you can, and like, and I just guess I hope the customers appreciate that and can understand like why we're doing that. And I think they're responding quite well because they like the response on social media, they value it, they're buying it. So yeah, I think if we're all moving towards that direction, then when doing the right thing.
Definitely. So I guess like as you know, as us being pole dancers, and I think as a community we are very like united and like we're really like, you know, like close to each other. We're very supportive. So I think when we have like a big message that we want to kind of like, I guess, express, it's really nice that people kind of like reciprocate that as well.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love the pole community as well, because everyone's just so like understanding and like they're very supportive of each other. Yeah. What do you reckon from like a brand, I guess, owner angle?
Yeah.
Do you find that people are more like reciprocating?
To the sustainability factor?
Yeah, or like just as like a brand, like just as a brand, like do people like support you and
of course, yes. I think people like have seen the journey from like when we were like Luna Polewear, but of course, like as any business, like you get your haters along the way. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. And there's people that try to like, you know, talk you down or whatever, but it comes with anything and everything you do, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So touching on that sort of like, I guess the negative responses that you may be getting, because I don't know, personally, I can't imagine anyone talking bad about like Lunalae, because the brand is amazing. You know, like you obviously have like great focus and great vision in terms of like how you want the brand to be, and not to mention like how amazing the design is.
Yeah.
So what sort of like critique do you ever get?
I don't really want to talk about it, but like, you know, on social media, everyone's like, you know, the keyboard warriors. They'll say like, and everyone has their own opinions, you know, and if you're on social, someone's gonna be unhappy with something that you do. I'm sure you've experienced it, like commenting nasty things. You know, I don't want to specifically say like what it is, but 100% like we've been online for 5 years. Like there has definitely been negative stuff said about the brand, about like certain messages, which I don't like to focus on the negative too much. Just kind of like, okay, cool, that's your opinion. We're just focusing on us and what we want to achieve. So, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's cool. Do what you want, but this is what we're about, and this is where we're heading. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you said, I think it's very, very common that, especially like us pole dancers, get, you know, some critique from the outside world. But yeah, like I guess it's it's definitely a given. I don't think it really matters which industry you're in.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna get it all the time.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And yeah, not everybody wants to support you. Like, not everybody wants to see success.
Yeah. So I guess going back to like you being a business owner, let's talk more about that, because I'm really curious as to knowing like what goes into kind of like the day-to-day aspect of things.
Yeah.
And like what creates Lunalae.
What do you mean by what creates Lunalae?
Like what is, I guess, so first maybe like your biggest vision in terms of Lunalae?
Yeah. I think my biggest vision, I want to work towards that sustainability factor. So like I said, like everything in our world today, it's like, it's toxic for the environment. How can we work towards where we're doing as minimal as we can? So like, for example, in our office, we have solar panels, small things like that, or like, you know, the carbon emission.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So small things like that, like how can we make our production have a minimal effect to the environment as possible? Also, not sure if you've seen, but we just launched our lingerie stuff, our intimates. Yeah. So that's really exciting. I kind of want to expand and like to have the non-polars see our stuff, because some people think like, oh, it's pole, I don't want to wear that. Yeah, and just grow it and see where it goes. Yeah, and like just the workplace, I really want to create a workplace where like it's really enjoyable, like, because you work with people for like 8 hours a day, you know, like nobody wants to work in a shit place or work with like people who bitch about you. Like, I want to make it like you go there, you enjoy what you're doing, but like you're working towards something that's exciting, that has like purpose, rather than being like, oh fuck, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very challenging, as any like small business owner can tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And yes, I did see your like intimates. They look absolutely like gorgeous, and I think
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of like the comments as well, because I'm, you know, like seeing like what the responses are like, and everyone seems to be like really, really excited. The designs look like they're like stunning.
Oh, thank you.
I love them. So I guess going back to like being a business owner, like what is the biggest struggle?
I don't know. That's a big question. Like, I think the biggest struggle is being good at everything. And like, because as a, like, if you start off as a designer or a pole dancer, like being a business owner is a completely different skill that you've never done before. So you really have to be well-rounded and well-versed in every single thing and understand how to do those roles. I think also the biggest challenging is like dealing with people and managing people, and also motivating them and inspiring them at the same time, yet being their friend and having that line and that boundary of like, hey, no, this needs to be done. That's really challenging. And then also like not overwhelming yourself, because I feel like for me, I put so much on myself. Like, I used to have this mentality of that, like, no, I have to be the best at everything. And it just drove me crazy. Like, I feel like you would have that as well. Like, you really just want to achieve a lot of stuff. And it just kind of just, like, drives you mental sometimes. So just, like, taking a chill pill sometimes and just, like, yeah, just enjoying it, rather than being like, oh no, I have to be the best. But the challenge is like, I don't know, it's like everything. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. And I think I can definitely attest to that. Like, you do want to do everything, and you want to be able to do everything. But what is like your best tip in terms of having fun, as you said?
I don't think I have a lot of fun these days.
Oh my gosh.
I've been working so hard. I honestly feel like I haven't been having a lot of fun, especially in lockdown. Like, we're not with the team, so it's not as fun. I guess like scheduling things for fun, so like having team activities or like honestly, I haven't been having much fun. I've just been working really hard.
And I can see that.
Yeah,
and I think,
I'm like tired.
Yeah, and I think that like really goes to show, you know, all these like beautiful like intimates you've been creating, all these like beautiful garments that, you know, you've been creating has pretty much, it's just like all the blood, sweat and tears like all into design, you know?
Yeah.
And I definitely see that. And like you know, you've obviously been working really hard on all your socials as well. I see that your TikTok is like blowing up, and even your Instagram as well, like great responses. So like that's pretty much, you know, all the effort and all the success that you've been seeing.
Yeah. Thank you.
So do you have like a long-term plan in terms of Lunalae? And because you obviously just launched your intimates, but I'm just thinking if there's anything you want to work on like further than that you can tell us.
I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think, like I said before, I want to have a really nice office that's like beautiful.
Your office already looks so beautiful though.
It's like like filled with stock right now. It's getting too small.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh my
You
gosh.
should come visit sometime.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and play with that pole that you're always posting on TikTok.
Yeah, you're welcome to like film stuff there. Like
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you must have like grown really out of that space then.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
filled with stock. Happy for you to come have a tour if you want. We're in Lidcombe. You can also shop there. So yeah, it's getting too small. I think trying to have the warehouse and the office at the same location is a bit hard because like warehouse is like super messy and like there's like just like crap everywhere. So yeah, we would really like a beautiful office and have a really nice working environment and have lots of like team activities where it's like really fun. And just yeah, like the pole community, just be really supportive of each other, you know, because like what's life for? Like working like a dog? Not really, you know.
Yeah. So like, I guess, what do you do then if you're so just like so busy? Like, what's your downtime like? What do you do?
I don't have any downtime.
Oh my gosh, like nothing, no downtime at all.
I do a lot of yoga. And,
Okay.
So like running the business, I got really, really stressed out and like I actually used to have really bad anxiety, which I never used to be. Like I feel like the older you get, I don't know. I don't know if you experience this, but a lot of my girlfriends have like they're really stressed out or like really anxious. So I actually had this really crazy experience. Like it's a long story. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I got really into yoga and meditation.
Yeah.
So that's like my downtime or like what I have to do, or otherwise I feel crap. So I do like 2 hours in the morning. I also am really obsessed with dancing right now. Like I told you, I go to that.
Movement Nation.
Yeah, I go to that. I go to IMI.
Oh, you go to IMI as well.
The owner, she's amazing.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all amazing.
Oh my God, they're crazy.
Yeah.
She's like,
Gun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love her.
So dancing.
Dancing.
How often do you do that?
I'm kind of obsessed with it, to be honest. Like, it's kind of like replaced my pole. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I do like a few hours a week, like 3, 4.
Oh, wow.
It could range from like 1 to 6 hours, depending how busy I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then I just like hang out with my boyfriend and my girlfriends. Go to the beach. I love the beach. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I feel like when you're a business owner, you just don't have downtime. Like, no matter where you go or what you do, you're constantly thinking about work or even like,
Yeah.
you can't really clock off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the habits of like our phones of like, oh, okay, I'm going to turn on my Instagram. It's like, how do you switch that off? You know, it's a really bad habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever like, do you put like conscious effort into maybe like putting your phone away or like doing anything to like kind of like clock off?
I tried to turn on that screen time thing, downtime.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, let's skip. And then recently I was like, okay, after 6 o'clock, I don't want to look at my phone. Just started that, but also like I go to bed at 9 and I don't bring any tech up with me. So otherwise I'm just like on my phone, on TikTok, on Insta, and I just have like my Apple Watch and my books and I'm like just forced to do that. Or I just sleep. Like that's the only thing that works if I force myself. Otherwise it's really hard to just like not look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great tip actually, and I think that's a great idea as well because a lot of the times, especially like nowadays when we're so like consumed in social media and you know we get notifications all the time, you know, like I'm sure everyone gets like some sort of like notification from social media or email or like whatever sort of like social network it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like giving you a message that you have to attend to someone or something.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's very, very unhealthy if you just like live like that every day without being conscious. Because your unconscious mind is always thinking like, okay, I have to attend to this, or like someone's calling me, so I have to attend to them. Whereas if you make a conscious effort like you did, then at least you can kind of limit yourself from the attention that you're giving to the outer world in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally I'll pick up my phone. I have like 1,000 notifications 100 notifications on like WeChat, Slack, WhatsApp, Gmail. Like I'm just like so many like people waiting on me to like answer them, and it just like, oh, I don't want to like look at my tech right now. And it's like if you don't answer them, they're like, oh, you feel bad. Yeah. So it's really important, I think, to switch off. Like I went to Cuba. I don't know if you know, in Cuba they don't have any internet there.
Yes, I heard actually. Well, I know because of Kim Kardashian's.
Yeah.
Is that why you know? Or
No, I went there.
Okay, yeah.
They don't have any internet there, only at certain places. Like it's like a central location and you can connect to Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So for like a week, you just had your phone that you can call, but there's no internet. And like I just felt so good, you know? And it's like, it's interesting, like the internet has like really changed how we live. There's so much pros, but like in terms of like how I felt so like chill, you know? And I think it's something that we really forget.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's just, especially like, you know, Fion, you're so active on social media, not just on your personal page, but you obviously have your business as well. And like, I'm sure that people are like constantly messaging you about honestly whatever it is, like maybe like sizing or I don't know, just questions about like your garment and stuff. And I think it obviously gets very, very overwhelming. You have like such a huge customer base. So it must be like really important for you to like really have that kind of like barrier and be like, okay, I'm switching off at this time.
Yeah. I think we get stuck in our little world, like, I don't know, like your job or like your work, or like when you take like a holiday, you're like, hey man, like this stuff is not what really matters. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I have to be the best dancer, I have to be the best pole dancer, I have to be the best business person. Like, what in reality is truly like value to you? You know, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like we get a little lost and we lose our priorities a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is like such a golden nugget. I feel like we always do get like so wrapped up in, you know, what we want to achieve or like what we want to be or like what we're not. So like, what is value to you then?
Probably family. I'm like Asian, of course. Family is number one. Like that's like just, it's not necessarily drilled into you, but it's just shown to you by your family, you know. So family, also like, I think just like life experience. Like I don't want to die and be like, oh shit, I didn't do what I always wanted to do. So that's why I'm always like, I want to be the best at everything because I want to experience the most that I can in life. You know, I don't want to turn around and be like, oh, I just lived half-assed. You know, I want to be like, okay, like, did I do my best? Did I do what I always wanted to do? Is there anything that I missed? Like, what else can I experience? You know? It's like, you only have one chance. Or do you?
Okay, that's like really deep, like philosophical stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So that's your drive in life, to be able to like experience a lot of things.
Yeah, I think you want to just like live your best life, right? That's why everyone does what they think they're doing is like gonna make them happy. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to live my best life.
Yeah. How can you, if you feel like you don't know what you're striving towards or like what your goal is, how can you find that goal?
Me or like people?
Like, how did you find it yourself?
I still don't know. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I still don't know what I want, you know? Sometimes I'm like, do I really want this? Like, okay, like, say for example, you might study, I don't know, law, and then you go and do that, and it might not end up loving it, you know? I feel like people always do that. That happens a lot. You're just kind of doing your best that you can, you know? Like, right now I'm doing this business. Like, I don't know, tomorrow I might be like, oh, this is too much, I don't want to do this, you know, but just while I'm here at it, I just do as much as I can. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You know what? I think that's the best tip, because, you know, I think a lot of the times from an outside perspective, people probably think that like you have your shit together and you know exactly what you want and what your goal is and what your 10-year plan is and stuff. But you know what? Like sometimes like I feel like we don't even know where we're going, but like we're just living our best life at the moment. Yeah. And that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, like I am very decisive. Like if I want something and I just go for it. Like, and some people like just not sure, like they just can't make that decision yet. But like while I'm here, I'm going to give it all my all, you know, but I think some people just hesitate to make that decision in the first place. But I'm like, I don't want to waste time. You just trial and error. If you don't like it, don't do it. But at least I tried it and I made a step. Because if you don't take that first step, how do you know what you want? You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And do you think that that's the reflection of like how your business is like currently running?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm just like, ooh, let me try this. But because I'm so proactive, I test a lot and I'm like, okay, this didn't work, this worked, I like this, I don't like this. Whereas people, I think, just hesitate, you know? So yeah, just knowing what you want and just trialing and error. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, definitely, like when it comes to like doing anything, I think it's just all about being proactive and just taking action. Because if you don't take that action, you don't know if it's going to end up well, if it's not going to end up well. It's like even doing like a pole trick, right?
Yeah.
If you don't try it, then how do you know if you can or can't do it or not?
How do you learn from it if you don't even take a step?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little more about the pole then, since we touched up on pole, because you mentioned that you haven't properly like done pole in like what, 2 years or something.
I stopped teaching. I can't remember what year it was, but yeah, I do miss it though. I really love like the pole community and like, yeah, it was such a big part of my life. Like I know like you're fully into it now. Like I understand what you mean. You're so obsessed with it. I love teaching. I love my students. Like it's so fulfilling, so rewarding. Like I miss it. Yeah. And
so the last time, I guess, like 2 years ago when you were doing pole.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that like you even entered Miss Pole, which is like,
yeah,
I didn't even know until today. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You're like, I feel like you could just like do everything and anything. That's like crazy.
Oh, thank you. That's what I mean. Trial and error. Yep, I did it. No, I don't like it. Not for me. I was like, too hard.
So what was your experience like for Miss Pole then? And what got you there?
Like, honestly, it was very scary. Like, I think for me, like, I never thought of myself as a very athletic person. Like, I just always want to push myself. And I remember someone else, like another teacher, I used to teach at PDA as well. And like, she was crazy good, like super bendy, like crazy chicks. And she was like, oh, if Fion can do it, then I thought, why can't I do it? And 100% she was like so much better than me. But she just didn't think that she could, you know? I just put myself out there and I just try it. But honestly, I don't think that I was that great. So I just felt honored to be part of it, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm here. Like, I might not be as good as everybody else, especially like someone like Coco who like was like kind of like I taught at her studio. She's competing like alongside me and I'm like, oh God. It's very intimidating, you know? But I just thought, whatever, like give it my all. Like I'm doing it to push myself for the experience, and just seeing like where it goes. And like you're doing it this year, like then you'll know like, okay, do I want to continue that path? Did I like performing? Did I like the process? What did I want out of it? Why did I even do it? You know? Yeah.
So what's like the biggest tip you can give for, I guess, maybe people that are just starting to maybe start competing?
I didn't compete that much. I probably did like 4 or 5 comps. I did like 2, 3 amateur comps. I did Dance Filthy, Miss Pole Dance. I would say like I think this applies to anything, but like be yourself and have your unique style. Like these days, especially, everyone's like pulling out a spatchcock or a bird of paradise, throwing in their craziest trick. But like, what makes you unique as a person is your selling point, right? So like, don't try to be somebody else. Like, do your style, do what you excel at, and that is what's going to differentiate you, because everybody can do a spatchcock these days. Who cares? You know, like, do what you are good at and show you to the world.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. Like, and it's so crazy to think, because I remember like Chili, or like if anyone knows, like her Chili Rocks, like the legendary Chili Rocks, she she was like, oh, back then, like, you know, jade split was the hardest thing, and everyone like literally bags out a spatchcock, like literally everyone.
Yeah. The standard's crazy.
Yeah, the pole world has like evolved so much in like literally the past, well, like 2-3 years.
I think even like back in the day, like no one used to even you go to the gym, you know, like when I was growing up, I'm a bit older, but like we didn't go to the gym in high school. But like now, like because of social media, everybody wants a big booty, and like, so everyone's really strong as well, you know, and it's like, whoa, like the standard is crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, and this is even like, well, I started like pole maybe like 4.5 years ago.
But you're
when
amazing.
when I started, thank you. But like when I started, like no one even went to the gym either.
Yeah.
Like I remember like, and I really wasn't strong when I started at all. And like, I don't remember anyone in my class being like super fit, like in a beginner's class. But then now when I'm instructing, like, I'm like, how are these beginners like doing a climb like easily in their first class? Like how?
Yeah.
I literally had like no arm strength.
Maybe it's like the food they're eating now. I don't know. Who knows?
All the hormones in the meat.
All the processed foods, I don't know.
It's crazy. They're so strong.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can't even imagine how it's going to be in like the next few years, like in the pole community, and how it's going to evolve, and all the crazy tricks that are going to come out. I don't even want to think about it. It's going to be crazy.
It's very athletic, yeah.
Yeah. So like, what would you say like was the big difference between the pole world now and back then?
When's back then?
So when did you start pole?
I actually did it on and off probably in like, oh God. I started when I was 18. It's like more than 10 years ago. Honestly, like obviously like there's so many more studios now. Back then there was like Bobby's and Suzy Q's. I don't know if you know, like Sydney Pole used to be Suzy Q.
Yeah.
So the style was very limited. It was kind of just like that kind of Bobby style, or like Suzy Q, where it was like very contemporary style.
Okay.
But now like there's so many studios and so many more people like that are interested in it. So there's more competition as well. So I guess that's why the standards are higher. There's more people doing it. There's more styles. There's also more instructors that have like different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So like back then, like, I don't know, the teachers didn't really have much of a different background, but now you have like teachers like Lorna, who's like a chiro, or like Renee, she's like an exercise physiologist, or like, you know, you have like a dance background teacher, and they kind of bring all these different elements to teaching, which is like really cool. Yeah.
Definitely.
So like the standards are so much higher as well.
It is.
Yeah.
You got all these like ex-gymnasts, ex-ballerinas.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just like, what? Like they're probably like banging out a spatchcock in their first class.
Yeah. Like, I give up.
It's crazy. So like when it comes to the pole world, I guess like for those that are like listening and they're just starting their journey in pole, what's the biggest tip that you wish you knew before you started pole?
Probably cross training. Like I was saying to you earlier, like if you like even go to the gym or lift weights, like you'll progress so much faster, and also like less likely to get injured. But I know like even me as a beginner, I'm like, I just want to pole, it's so fun. But yeah, cross training is really important. like whether it's like flexibility, Pilates, weights, it's really important. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of like pole dancers that have at least done it for maybe like 4 to 6 years, that's probably the best tip that, or like biggest tip that people have said. Cross training for sure.
But sometimes you don't have time because like pole's such a well-rounded sport. You have to do everything. You want to do handstands, you want to do acro, you want to like acting, you want to do dancing. It's like having the time to fit that in, it's like full on.
It is, yeah. And I guess that's why it's so unique and interesting as well, because you don't just have to do tricks. Like if you don't want to do tricks, then you don't have to do tricks. You can just do dance if you want to.
Yeah.
If you just want to do like base work, or if you just want to work on flex, you can do that too. Like there's so many different things that you can do. Like that's outside of the actual pole tricks itself. So yeah, but cross training, you know, I have to do it too.
I feel like though, because you teach so much, like that's kind of your training, the endurance training, the strength training, like
I tried Pilates, like reformer Pilates, but I was like, pole is just so much more fun.
I feel you.
It's just all like I like pole because there's so many different tricks that you can try. It's not just tricks, you can even dance. You can create dances, you can work on flexibility, you can do contortion. There's so many different things that go into pole. And I think the creative aspect of it is just so fun.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, maybe like weights and stuff, it's great. Like I think it's great for like working on endurance and like strength and stuff. But like it's just like, at least for me, like I find it really like kind of like repetitive. So I kind of just like, like if I want to do conditioning, I just want to do pole. But I know I have to do weights.
Man, pole is so fun. Like you're just doing a trick, like hanging out with your mates. Hey, come on, like go.
Yeah.
You know? It's just like you're just hanging out and just training. It's like not like you're going out to eat. You're working towards like a collective goal. You know, so I really miss it. Yeah,
that's true. And like even like as you mentioned, not to say like how amazing the community is. Everyone's just so like uplifting and like so positive and like, you know, you like I don't remember like going to a gym and seeing all these people go like, yeah bro, let's get it, you know? Like you can't really imagine that, but in the pole community everyone's like, oh my gosh, like you just did a leg hang. It's just so, it's so fun. Like everyone's like clapping and, you know, like spotting each other, although, you know, right now COVID and stuff, so it's really hard to spot each other, but I think that's the fun part.
I'll tell you a funny story. Like, I went to just do a random F45 class, and because, like, I'm so used to pole, like, talking to people, like, hey, how's it going? And, like, I'm just very social. I was just, like, doing the class, like, hello, talk to me. Like, somebody talk to me. You know what I mean? But, like, everyone's just in their zone. I'm like, oh, okay.
No one's giving you attention.
Even in dance class, like, it's... Because you have to have full focus, whereas pole, you kind of just like stop and you're like, okay, do this trick. And then you kind of spot someone or you help someone. So there's a lot of talking and conversation. But like other sports, it's just not as social for some reason.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't really do much sports outside, so I never really thought of that. Well, aside from the gym, I've tried it a few times, which didn't really last me long.
I'm surprised. Look at these guns.
A lot of deadlifting. Like, not like gym deadlifting, like pole deadlifting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I guess the social aspect of it is like very, very like enticing, and it's just so appealing to all the people that I guess stick to pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because maybe like we don't live in a community, like, you know, our lifestyle. Like the modern world, so like having that community is like, I think Sydney Pole did a survey once and they were like, what was the one thing that keeps you coming, and like a lot of people said community. Yeah because people feel lonely, you know.
Because we're so like, it's so strange, like social media, it like is obviously like such a huge part of our life now. But then there's such a big connect between so many people, but there's such a big disconnect as well.
Yeah.
At the same time. So I feel like having that physical I guess, like contact and physical, I guess, like just one-to-one like connection with like your students, like your cohort instructors, and like having that, like it may sound a little strange, but having that physical contact with your instructor even,
Yeah.
or students, it kind of connects you
Yeah.
in a sense as well.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why it makes it so like appealing.
Yeah. And it's not like when you go to work, you know, you're at work. Whereas after work, you go to class, it's like, it's fun, you know, they're helping you. It's such a nice feeling, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So wrapping up our whole entire kind of like interview, what would be, I guess, even like as a business owner, as a pole dancer, as just being Fion yourself, what's the biggest tip that you could give to like any of our viewers?
In terms of...
Like really anything. It could be like a lifestyle. It could be like as a business owner.
Yeah.
Or like maybe like a motto or something that you live by.
A motto.
Yeah.
One tip would be that really changed my life was reading. I think if you want to really excel in anything or everything, like reading really changed my life. I feel like I had a really kind of poor quality of life. Like I wasn't really from, like, my parents really didn't have money. Like they went through a phase where they kind of had money and didn't have money, and I had to kind of like take them out of it. And having a business and reading books really what made me grow as a person and made my quality of life and changed my quality of life. So like, I don't know if you know about Audible, you can listen to a lot of Audible books, like when you're like cooking or walking or working out, whatever. I would really say, get your head in the books. Yeah. And something else, I really started to go on a spiritual path. Like, since I started yoga, I feel like that's one kind of dimension where I feel like people in the modern world don't really pay attention to. I don't know if you heard of like the life circle, and you have like your family, you have your career, you have spirituality. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And you kind of rate it like, and I never really understood that spiritual aspect. I'm like, what does spirituality actually mean? Until I started to get into yoga and that whole like yogi culture and explore that and read a lot about it, I feel a big fulfilling, like a sense of fulfillment in that aspect. I feel like if you don't like kind of look into that, there's a kind of like a hole missing. Because like, okay, you can be like so successful, you can be a billionaire or like do whatever it is that you desire, but if that aspect of your life is missing, you kind of feel like empty. Yeah. Right. But I feel like people don't come across that until they're kind of older or like go through something really traumatic. Because it's like, if you're happy, why would you kind of seek for that?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So like, what would you say is your favorite or like best read then in terms of like your Audible? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so there's this yogi called Sadhguru. He has like so many YouTube videos. Like, he's fantastic. He's got 2 books. One is called Inner Engineering, which I've done his program. It's like, if you do that program, it's a bunch of like yoga poses and breathing techniques. And then he released another book recently called Karma. Those 2 books are really good. And he explains it like in a good way that kind of appeals to the kind of modern world. Those 2 books, yeah.
Okay. Well, look out for those books. I'm definitely, because I read Audible as well, or I listen to Audible as well, so I'm gonna have a look at those.
I'll screenshot it to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap up the interview here.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. That was fun.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for coming here. So how, in terms of people finding you, where can they find you on social media or like website?
Yeah, so our Instagram page for Lunalae is Lunalae Store. And then my personal was at Fiance, FIONCE _.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you for having me.
And we shall see you in the next episode. Bye!